Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Creepy Fox Podcast. This is the show in which we share true scary stories shared by subscribers like yourselves. Today's episode will be focusing on some sleepover stories, a topic I know that's been requested for quite some time. So thanks for being so patient with me. Speaking of being patient, I apologize that the upload schedule here on the channel hasn't exactly been as frequent as it has been. If you haven't seen the community posts I've been posting, a long story short, I have a giant cell tumor in my left femur bone that does require a biopsy and surgery to get removed. I still don't know if it's cancerous or not. I'm just awaiting for the surgery to be approved, so it's been kind of a little bit stressful here. I'll go more into detail after the last story, so make sure you stay tuned for that, as there'll be some updates regarding the videos and the channel. But other than that, let's go ahead and get started with today's episode. The Kitchen Window. When I turned 16 years old, my parents finally allowed me to stay home by myself. Gone were the days of having to get a babysitter to keep an eye on me as I sat in my room playing video games or watching movies in the living room. Although I did miss the lady who would look after me. She was an elderly woman who lived down the street, who made delicious food. I did enjoy my newfound freedom, if you will, which allowed me to do whatever I wanted. Although doing whatever I wanted mainly consisted of more or less the same. It was just having the comfort of being alone that really added to the overall feeling of becoming a young adult. Alongside the ability to be at home by myself during the summertime, I also enjoyed the freedom of having friends stay over and spend the night to keep me company. I think that's what I enjoyed the most, the sleepovers. Anyways, it was summer 2006, and this one weekend my parents had joined my aunt and uncle as they went to Las Vegas for a family friend's wedding. I was going to go, trust me. Who wouldn't enjoy spending time at the swimming pool or at the all-you-can-eat buffet? But as I'd be the only teenager, I didn't really feel it was worth going, since my options for entertainment were limited. Therefore, I recall inviting my best friend, who in this story we'll refer to as Jim, to spend the night over at my place, so we could do your typical teenage boy stuff. Stay up all night, eat junk food, play video games, watch scary movies, the usual. So that's what we did, and the first day was fairly routine. The next afternoon, I can recall that Jim and I went to the local arcade and hung out with some friends, opting to grab dinner at the food court, consisting of delicious, yet very greasy and cheesy pepperoni pizza. Once our bellies were filled with pizza goodness, Jim and I excused ourselves, and we went back home to spend the next couple of hours watching movies. At around, I'd say it was 8:45 p.m., there was a knock at the front door. That knock then proceeded into multiple knocks. It got annoying, and I was really hoping whoever was out there maybe had the wrong house. After about 20 seconds of knocking and ringing, things settle, and Jim and I start relaxing, thinking whoever had shown up had given up and left. Fast forward about 3 minutes later, and we can hear my backyard wooden fence open very slowly. It has this distinct audible noise it makes even if you open it slowly, so it did cause some concern. Bear in mind, we did have a fan blowing pretty hard in my room, which masked most of the surrounding noise, and since I didn't have air conditioning, the windows were wide open in my house, allowing a decent breeze to flow through as it was a hot day. Also, to note, my room had no windows, which was another reason why everything was open, as it becomes an oven in the summer. Anyways, the distinct sound of the fence opening caused Jim and I to get up, so we could head over to the window that overlooks said fence. This was a short walk down my hallway, with a restroom and my parents' room along the way. Then it turned to the left at the end of the hallway, which led us into the living room. When we reached the window and peeked ever so cautiously through the curtains, we didn't see anything apart from the fence being slightly open. However, we could hear footsteps. This in turn had us going over to the back room that overlooks the backyard But we don't make it that far, because as we approach, we hear something that sends a shiver down our spine. The back door handle being jingled and moved. Jim and I froze, thinking that there was no way it could have been my parents, and no way it could have been a neighbor. So we immediately grabbed a couple of kitchen knives from the sink, and then booked it over to my room so we could call 911. We also proceeded to put a wooden chair under the door handle of my room, something we had seen in movies, and as we whispered to the operator that we're hearing noises in my backyard, hiding in the closet with our knives, we hear footsteps coming from the kitchen. We're now starting to breathe more frantically, and we're shaking and sweating as the operator is trying to calm us down and saying officers were being dispatched to our location. Those 5 minutes of waiting were some of the most anxious and nerve-wracking moments of our lives. It didn't help that the footsteps approached my room and the door handle began to shake violently. We heard what sounded like kicking, and we could see the wooden chair begin to move. We were so scared because the kicking was so loud and aggressive that we truly believed the door was about to break open. But thankfully, that door was made of sturdy wood as it stayed in place. The noises/footsteps then proceeded to make their way into the adjacent bedroom, my parents' room, and we can hear drawers being opened and things being tossed around. Finally, we get our relief when we hear from the thin walls of my house, the intruder, or as we found out, intruders say, "The cops are here," as their footsteps then frantically make their way down the hallway. No less than 20 seconds later, we heard the cops yell, "Get down on the ground," and drop the knife. We didn't actually witness what happened, just the noise, and it wasn't until the operator told us it was safe to step out that we finally got to see the aftermath. The house was a mess. As I mentioned, things were tossed around, chairs, furniture was moved, drawers were opened, and there were even muddy footprints all over the carpet. Now, I feel like my submission has gone on long enough, so I'm just gonna skip all over the police detail stuff and get to what happened and the revelation. The guys who broke in were amateurs in their late 20s, who already apparently had a criminal history of theft and robbery. They were also armed that evening with knives, using said knives to open one of the screens on the windows in the kitchen. Remember how I said the windows were open? That's how they got in, as the back door was locked, which we heard them attempting to open before they broke in. Admittedly, we were very freaked out that evening, that we decided to spend the night over at Jim's house, but that wasn't before I called my parents to inform them of the situation. They were very worried, but I assured them things were taken care of now that I was at Jim's house. Luckily, the money and jewelry that was stolen was returned back to my family, and as for the home burglars, we never did see or hear from them again, thus ending what was perhaps one of the most nightmare-filled moments of my life. The 2006 Winter Intruder. Hi, creepy fucks. I've been listening to your channel for well over a year now. Now I'd like to go ahead and share one of my stories that I think would fit perfectly in a video that is themed on sleepover stories. This was some time ago, dating all the way back to December 2006. Let me set the scene for you all. My friend and I, his name in the story will be Kevin, were very excited as we were looking forward to getting our hands on the Nintendo Wii. I'm almost certain anyone who remembers that holiday season remembers the rush of the new consoles. The Wii was perhaps one of the most difficult and sought-after consoles for a customer to get their hands on. Day one saw records, and without a reservation, which were already difficult to get, you were pretty much left out of the fun. Luckily, Kevin's oldest cousin, Jeremy, had mentioned that the Target he was working at would be getting a select amount of Nintendo Wii consoles, roughly 25 of them, on a Saturday morning. This was in early December, by the way, a few weeks after the Wii had released. Now, I won't be talking about the morning of when we got our consoles and spent that entire winter break playing the Wii, but instead I want to focus on the night beforehand, when it happened. So let's take you back. It's 7 p.m. Friday night before we get our Wii. and Kevin's mom had just finished making us dinner. We were now in the living room watching a movie, and were just relaxing and talking about all things Nintendo, surely getting on Kevin's parents' nerves with our nerdy talk. They ended up going to bed at roughly 8 p.m., as Kevin's dad would have to wake up early the next morning for work, and his mom would wake up early to make us breakfast, then drive us over to Target to pick up the consoles. With one last reminder to sleep early, the once lively house grew quiet and dark, as Kevin and I turned the TV off and head over to his room to continue our conversations. For the next hour or two, sitting on our lazy boys, we played the GameCube until our eyes grew heavy, and we head off to bed. Fast forward to a little past midnight, and I woke up with the strong urge to use the restroom. I got out of the guest bed and walked by the bedroom window, only for something in my peripheral vision to catch my attention. A light, which shined brightly in the backyard. I peeked through the glass window, and with the help of the backyard porch light just illuminating enough of the backyard, I could just make out a man dressed in all black and matching ski mask, holding a flashlight, and also what looked to be like a hunting knife. I remember going crazy and immediately heading over to Kevin's bed to wake him up. Kevin, wake up! Someone's in your backyard. It took a few attempts. Kevin was always a heavy sleeper, and after some shaking back and forth, he stumbles out of dreamland, almost punching me in the process. Kevin, look, I tell him, as we once again peek through the window, not that we get the chance to do so, because the man outside was now at Kevin's window, trying to pry it open with the knife. Kevin and I screamed like little kids and book it over to his parents' room, waking up his parents instantly, unlike Kevin who sleeps like a brick. Kevin's dad tells us to stay in the room and lock the door, as he then takes his shotgun he keeps under the bed and heads outside to confront the masked man. All we heard was Kevin's dad yelling and screaming various obscenities, which was immediately followed by footsteps which ran away. Cops were called, but the man was never caught, at least not that evening. A few weeks later, some blocks away, a man was caught by the police trying to break into a home. The details given of the man matched the same of the man I saw that night. Ski mask, matching black pants, shoes, and sweater. Also had a knife and flashlight. So that was the night I had a sleepover at my friend Kevin's house, and we came face to face with an armed home intruder. Edit. Though that night was quite frightening, we still woke up early and got our hands on our Nintendo Wiis, which put the scary incident and its memories to rest. Crawling his way on in. I was listening to a couple of your older Creepy Fox podcast episodes, and I heard a story similar to an experience that I had. I have yet to share this with any other narrator, so I hope this makes it into one of your episodes. Let me get started. I was 17 at the time, and I was spending the night over at my friend Blake's house for a couple of days. Meanwhile, my house was getting fumigated for termites. As for my parents, they were staying at a nearby hotel, and Blake's parents were away that weekend, visiting Blake's grandparents. Anyways, all was going well as we played video games in Blake's bedroom, when suddenly, close to 1 a.m, we began to hear something moving in Blake's kitchen, along with someone talking. This freaked us out so much that Blake immediately reaches into his closet and grabs a couple of his metal baseball bats. Each armed with a swinger, we open the bedroom door ever so quietly, and we peek into Blake's hallway. It's long and dark, with only the light at the very end coming from the living room window, giving us any sort of illumination. We continued to look down the hallway nervously for about 15 seconds, when all of a sudden, we see a large mass walk past the opening at the end of the hallway. It was just for a few seconds, but judging by the details, this individual was huge and appeared to be mumbling to themselves. Blake and I immediately closed the bedroom door, and we proceeded to call 911, telling them of a home intruder. Fast forward less than 3 minutes later. Blake lives near the police station, by the way. Cops arrive and search Blake's home. They ended up finding a 40-something-year-old disheveled homeless man passed out on Blake's living room couch, who reeked of strong alcohol. It just so turned out he crawled and made his way into Blake's home through an open window in the guest bedroom. If that wasn't scary and creepy enough, the police found a knife on him, as well as a used glass pipe and a small Ziploc containing a white powdery substance. Police took our statements, and the man was put in the back of one of their police cruisers, and soon after, taken away to the police station, most likely to be booked and charged on breaking and entering. Checking for unlocked homes. Boy, do I have a Home Alone story for you all. This was actually pretty recently. It took place about 4 months ago, and my parents had been out for the weekend. It was myself and a couple of friends, and we were having a sleepover. It was us 3 girls, and we were teenagers at the time. To quickly describe my home, it's in a pretty quiet and safe suburb. Actually, one nice thing about my neighborhood was how quiet it was. It had elderly couples who rarely made any noise. This was perfect for me actually, since I recorded music. That's besides the point. The idea is that barely anything happens here. I think the only thing that happened was an argument between some neighbors. I guess they were complaining that their trash bins kept getting knocked over, but it turned out to be a neighborhood cat. Anyways, my friends and I had been up watching Gossip Girl and chatting about all the latest rumors at school, and finally around midnight, we one by one fell asleep. Everything is quiet and it was now about 2 a.m., and that's when we were all awoken to an extremely loud bang on my bedroom window. What was that noise? Do you think someone broke in? Oh, come on, Christine, you're making a huge deal. It's probably just the cats fighting outside or something. The noise did scare me, but I think the explanation of the cat was great to calm us all down. We managed to convince ourselves nothing serious was going on, and we go back to sleep. About half an hour later, we were all once again woken up to noise. Here's the thing though, this wasn't just your average ordinary bang or knock. No, we are able to hear 3 rapid knocks, almost as if they were in a pattern. Naturally, we start panicking, since we had no way of knowing what the actual source of the noise was. I remember we all run upstairs and head into the attic to hide. This was when I called my dad and told him about what was happening.
Hello? Dad? Are you there? Yes, honey. What's wrong? You sound scared. I think there's someone trying to get into the house. My friends and I are hiding in the attic. Okay, stay calm. What I need you to do is call the police, and they're going to help you out. Okay? You need to be brave for me.
So I end the call with my dad and now call the police station.
Hello, thank you for calling dispatch. This is Nancy speaking. Do you have an emergency to report? Yes, hi, I need your help. My friends and I heard noises outside our house. We're home alone, and we aren't sure what to do. Okay, where are you right now? And are your doors and windows locked? Yes, they are. Please, just hurry up and get here already. Okay, we're sending officers to come check things out. They should be there soon.
If only I would have known that soon would turn out to be like 20 minutes. I honestly thought they didn't write my address down correctly. Well, in the meantime, we wait. My friend Christine and I got the courage to check the house. Yeah, not a smart idea, I know. Rachel, our third friend, hid in the attic with the golf club, and Christine and I started scanning the rooms one by one with her ice pick I had picked up from the kitchen, only to find no one. However, as we make our way over to the back door, we can see the door handle begin to shake unexpectedly. This was when the loud bang started yet again. We immediately book it upstairs into my parents' bedroom and lock the door. Now, something about my parents' room was that you could look into the backyard, and when we ended up taking a look, we see a tall figure standing there. He was tall, skinny, with a ski mask. He appeared to have a crowbar in his hand, which instantly made us freeze. Moments later, we started to hear police sirens, and that's when this guy takes off running. Note that Rachel was on the phone with the dispatch as we explored the house. Nancy now tells us it's okay to step outside, and so we do. When we meet up with the officers, we explain what had happened, and they tell us that they would look into it. Apparently, someone was trying to break into another home a couple of nights ago, but ran away after the police were called. So I guess my question is, who was this person? And was it possible he knew we were home alone? I'm not sure, but nothing like that has ever happened again. A sleepover break-in. Sleepovers are supposed to be fun. After all, it's an opportunity for you to stay up late while playing video games and watching movies, eating snacks, or telling scary stories with your friends. But that shouldn't mean the scary story becomes a reality, right? I want to take you back to some time in the mid-2000s, when I stayed over at my friend Jamie's house. We're both female, by the way, and we were sophomores in high school. Anyways, on Thursday of that particular week, Jamie told me during biology class her parents were going to be away for the weekend to celebrate their wedding anniversary. So she asked me if I wanted to sleep over and keep her company, as she really didn't want to spend the weekend with her grandparents, since she told me it's boring there. I agreed, as I had nothing better else to do, and it was looking like I wasn't going to be getting much homework. I spoke too soon, however, as at the end of the biology class, we got assigned a paper due that Monday. Thankfully, it wasn't that difficult, and Jamie and I were able to complete it that Friday night. Fast forward to Saturday, and we had woken up at around 3 in the afternoon. For lunch, or I guess you could say, early dinner, we decided to order a pizza from Domino's. Meanwhile, I stepped into the shower. Fast forward to around 7 p.m., and Jamie wanted to go for a walk in the forest that's behind her house. I guess I should mention that Jamie kind of lived in the middle of nowhere. There were neighbors, but the closest was about a mile away. This is important because she also happens to live at the end of a long dirt road, which means visitors are very rare. Anyways, we spent about 20 minutes walking and gossiping about the latest rumors at school, when I finally get the urge to pee. Thus we begin to make our way back to Jamie's house. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary as we made our way in, and I head to the restroom. Meanwhile, Jamie waits in the living room, turning on the TV. No less than 30 seconds later, I hear a loud crash, which made me jump out of my shoes. Had Jamie fallen or bumped into a table? I quickly washed my hands and exit the restroom, only to be met with one of the most frightening sights of my life. Jamie is standing with her hands up, frozen with fear, as I soon come to the realization what was happening. "You there, put your hands up. Don't you dare make any sudden movements." As I had still been in the hallway, I couldn't see to the right of me, but as soon as I walk into the living room, there were 2 masked men with pistols. That's when they gave me the command. What happens in the next few moments, which honestly felt like an eternity, were the masked men telling us not to move or make a noise, as they grab some of their large bags and run out of the home. We then watched them escape through the front door, jumping into the side of a waiting dark van. The van then drives away. Jamie and I stood there shaking and crying, trying to comprehend what had just happened. We must have sat there on the couch for almost 15 minutes before we finally snapped out of our fear and called for police. Unfortunately, it took them almost 30 minutes to arrive, which by that point gave the home burglars plenty of time to make their getaway. All the police told us they could do was make a report and try to look for vehicles that matched the description we gave them. To this day, those men have never been caught, and the jewelry and money they made off with has never been returned to Jamie nor her family. Edit. For those wondering, we had left the door unlocked as we had no spare key since all the keys were lost. That was the reasoning as to why the door was unlocked. It's just crazy that out of all the homes, they came after Jamie's. Some friends have told me they might have been staking out the house for some time, but neither Jamie's family nor hers said they saw any suspicious activity or vehicles in the weeks or days leading up to the break-in. Hey everybody, what's going on? It's the Creepy Fox here. Pardon the video quality. I know this isn't exactly the greatest 100% that I normally like to offer, but there's a reason why it's like this. As I mentioned in the intro, I unfortunately have a giant cell 10 centimeter tumor in my left femur bone, which is more or less made me bedridden for, well, for right now. So it sucks, it sucks because it's very painful, very stressful. So yeah, long story. It started about January or so. By the way, if you hear my birds in the background, it's early morning, so they're making noise. I actually recorded this intro in the kitchen where my computer is, but the birds were too loud, so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to switch to the phone and we're going to try to record it and do the intro, or sorry, the outro all over again here. So apologies again for the quality. But yeah, it started about January or so. I had this really sharp pain. It was weird. It was like, that's kind of funny. And it started in my knee. And it would only happen when I'd get up. When I was walking around, I was perfectly fine. Things were all right. So then about a month later, so we're talking like February or so, it started to get a little bit more noticeable. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. Like, why am I having this random sharp pain just coming out of nowhere? So, I still ignored it, naive me. I'm like, oh, well, maybe I just injured myself and, it'll be better. So then fast forward again to March, early March, and I went walking because, again, I thought maybe it was just I was like, maybe it's because I haven't moved around too much in a while. Maybe I had to get up and stretch and everything. So I went walking for about 2 miles and I was fine. And then literally the next day I woke up, I could put no weight whatsoever on my leg. It was that painful. I had to start using crutches, which I've been using crutches now for well over a month now almost. So what happened was I called my doctor. I told him, hey, you know what? I'm having an excruciating amount of pain in my left leg, and I'd like to see if I can get it checked out. So I went to go see him. We did x-rays and whatnot, and I did that about an hour before the appointment. And then when I saw him, we reviewed the results, and he's like, oh yeah, you definitely have something in your left leg. We need to get that checked out. So we set up an MRI test. So then we fast forward a week later, which is now, as of this recording of this video, about a little under 2 weeks ago, I got the MRI done. And yeah, the confirmation was I have a giant cell tumor of 10 centimeters in my left femur bone, which is what's causing all this excruciating amount of pain. So it's definitely something that's not fun. That's the reasoning why I've been having all this pain. So the hospital that I go to normally does not do things with tumors. So I have to go to this other hospital about an hour and a half away from where I'm at. It's actually the same hospital that my dad went to when he had his cancer. He had a non-Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer. Thankfully they were able to treat him, and he's been about 16, 17 years in remission. So that's a good thing. Because that's the thing. Ultimately, I don't know if what I have is cancerous. Now, normally, under normal circumstances, giant cell tumors just form out of nowhere, and for the most part, they aren't cancerous. But, I don't want to breathe a sigh of relief because there is still a chance that it could be cancer. It's just the chances are a little bit lower. But again, we don't want to take any chances, which is why the next step, again, is I have to go to this other hospital. I have to get a biopsy and removal. But that's kind of where we're stuck right now because the insurance I have is just playing these games, as I like to call it. I mean, I shouldn't be that mean, but it's just, it feels like that because I've just been stuck in limbo, waiting for the insurance to authorize and approve the surgery. And it sucks because, every day this thing keeps growing. It keeps causing me more pain and discomfort. And it's getting to the point now where if this thing doesn't get removed, like within a certain amount of time, I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take. But the specialist I saw did tell me, if you don't get this thing removed, eventually what's going to happen is the tumor is going to break through the bone and the joint, because it's on like the kind of like in between so it's like, best way to describe it to you guys. So it's a little bit under the knee and then it goes up about halfway to the femur. Just imagine 10 centimeters. It could eventually, like I said, it could snap the joint, it could snap the bone, and the whole bone and joint will collapse. And that's going to make things a whole lot more worse. And I mean, I don't want that because, I want to be able to walk again, and I want to be able to, return to Disneyland and be able to work there and be able to, do stuff. And not just that, but just be able to walk in general because, well, that would suck. That's not fun. And it sucks too because it's very painful to sit down for long periods of time and record and edit, which is one of the reasons why it took so long to get this video out, because it's very painful to be sitting down. Like, the only way it can be in like not as much pain, but still a little bit of pain, is by laying down. And that sucks because I don't like to be unproductive. I like to get stuff done. I like to get stuff out for you guys. So yeah, it's very stressful. And I think just the whole idea of this not knowing whether or not it's cancerous is what's been really causing me just a lot of stress mentally. It's very exhausting. It's emotionally exhausting too. And so that's another reason why, I haven't exactly been in the right mind to work on stuff, just because, again, I got this going on. But yeah, back to the insurance thing. I'm still waiting on them. As of the recording of this video, it's been about a week. And the doctors put it as urgent because, like, it is urgent. Like, even they said, like, this is something we need to get taken care of right away. And it's been a week now, and I'm still waiting. And again, the pain is it's getting worse. So it sucks. So again, I apologize for the quality of the video, but the whole point, I just wanted to get this video out there, the narration as well as this video update, just to let you guys know what's going on, why there's been a delay in uploads. There will probably be a delay in uploads because, again, I'm going to be selfish. I don't like to. I haven't been selfish for the past 4 years or so, because I really love to be able to do stuff for people. I don't really like to take time off myself, but I am going to have to ask you guys, I'm going to have to be selfish just for a little bit, so I can, get this taken care of. And hopefully, I'll have some good news of, hey, it's not cancer, and it's just a matter of, getting it removed, filling it in. So what they do is they fill it in. They describe the surgery. Basically, what it would be is they remove the tumor, and then they put like this cement-like mixture in there to, fill up the hole. Because if they don't, then the whole, I'm going to step. And then it's like, for example, how astronauts go to space and they're there for a long time. They come back to Earth. And then, like, I mean, I know there's videos out there. They come back to Earth and they, like, they take steps and they collapse. And it's because their bones haven't really, the bones have been deteriorating because of the zero gravity. More or less the same thing. I don't want to step without the cement in there. And then it's like, oof, my whole leg collapses. And then we're in a whole world of trouble. So yeah, I'm just trying to stay positive and whatnot. So all I ask of you guys, just your thoughts and your prayers. That's it. Keep me in your thoughts and prayers. I really appreciate everybody who's been sending me the kind messages and the kind comments. Yeah, again, I'm very thankful to everybody who's been sending your well wishes, your support. It really means a lot. I will try to keep you guys updated here on YouTube. Maybe not so much in video format, maybe just community posts. On my Instagram, on my Twitter, I'll be posting updates there as well. So make sure you guys are following me there for updates. So yeah, that was pretty much it. Again, thank you to you guys for watching. Apologies for the quality of the video. I know it's not exactly how I wanted it to be, but having to do it from bed is kind of more or less the only way to do it. I have so what I did for the recording with this episode was I did have to kind of sit down for a while and record. So I had to take breaks in between the few stories I read, just because, again, it does hurt to sit down for long periods of time. But if I was eventually able to do this video, it's only like 26 minutes of narration, but it took me a week to do just because of the pain. So I got it done, which was good. But I feel like I'm rambling a little too much. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much. I'll keep you guys updated. Keep me in your thoughts and prayers. And hopefully I'll have some good news soon. Take care.